Welcome back to the bettors. On 21st of February, Sunday morning, we have a nice little eight game NBA slate to break down, and we will do that as always. I'm putting up the odds screen as we speak. It's a pretty great slate in my opinion for betting. I already made 3 bets for the Patreon subscribers, looking at 1 or 2 more games, but I think overall this is a really decent slate. Please, if you have any comment or feedback, you know where to find me at the Bettors on Twitter. If you want to tell my plays, you can go to patreon.com/the Bettors. And please, if what I'm doing is helping you, like the video or the podcast, subscribe. It helps a ton. So, first game, Boston Celtics at the New Orleans Pelicans. Celtics laying 2.5, minus 111. So basically, Celtics by 3 on the road. Rare case where I have a strong edge when it comes to my numbers on the home team. I'm making this a pick'em, so a 3-point edge on the Pelicans, but I'm not gonna play it. In fact, I'm leaning towards the Celtics, and the early money on Pinnacle has been all Celtics. I think it kind of stays that way. I'm not really impressed of the Pelicans or what they have been doing lately, and I know that the Celtics have been struggling, but I think they are still clearly a tier above the Pelicans right now. So Smart is out for the Celtics as always, hoping to see him back soon. Boston has been struggling since he has been out. They grade as the 20th best offense and the 15th best defense through the last 2 weeks. So yeah, pretty rough stuff. Although they faced the Nuggets, the Jazz, the Suns, they played the Hawks twice, so they didn't have like super easy games, but they still have a minus 2-point differential, minus 3.6 against the closing spread on average. So yeah, not looking good, but on the other end, Pelicans also not looking good either. They grade as the 7th best offense through the season and the 3rd best through the last 2 weeks, but they grade 29th offensively. I'm always joking that they are kind of like a mini Brooklyn, but Brooklyn started to play defense recently, and the Pelicans still didn't. They are, I think, 1-6 in the last 2 weeks. They faced a super easy schedule. They faced like the Rockets, the Bulls, the Pistons, Blazers, Grizzlies. I mean, these are kind of winnable games, and they won just one game in the last 2 weeks. Point differential isn't too bad, minus 1.5, and I think overall this is a good matchup for them. So when I looked at what my number is on the game, and then I looked into the matchup, Pelicans will have a rebounding edge. Boston is allowing a 67% field goal percentage around the rim. That's the 3rd highest in the league, and the Pelicans get to the rim at the 2nd highest rate. This is a game 4 of a 6-game road trip for Boston, so everything is kind of pointing towards the Pelicans, but I'm just still not buying it. They couldn't beat the shittiest teams in the league. I kind of feel that the Celtics will put this together. But yeah, I show a number edge on the Pelicans, but I mean they have one win in the last 2 weeks, and very bad teams beat them, and they allow 128 points per 100 possessions. That's terrible. And the early money on the Celtics, and I kind of agree. So even though I think you have to pay a premium to back Boston here, and they don't have Smart, and they did look bad, I think they are the side. Next game, Philadelphia 76ers at the Toronto Raptors. Raptors without Lowry. He's tagged as doubtful, so I'm expecting him to sit. Philly has Simmons and Milton as probable. Simmons has been tagged as probable twice, and he sat out both games, so I'm kind of afraid that he will sit again. But it really seems like that he will go this time. He had the flu through the week. I don't expect him to be 100%, but I think he will play today. Milton back is huge. I was talking about this when I broke down the last game of the Sixers. Without him, the bench is one of the worst in the league in scoring, and they don't have guys to step up if Shake Milton is out. Milton is averaging like 14 points or something. But without him, the bench is averaging less than 20 points, and he's a huge part of this squad. So him back is great for the Philly Sixers. So with Sixers game, I'm always saying if they can out rebound you and they can get the free throws they need to stay an efficient offense, they will beat you. When I'm looking at this matchup, I think they will beat the Raptors. So the Philly Sixers draw the second most free throws in the league, and the Toronto Raptors are giving up the most free throws in the league. So a huge mismatch. I'm always saying the Raptors are fouling way too much, and this is a bad matchup, especially as the Sixers will make those 3 points. When it comes to the rebounding, Philly is fifth in the league in offensive rebounding, and the Raptors are 26th in defensive rebounding. So just based on these two stats, I would probably just lean towards Philly heavily. My line here actually is Philly -1. Game is off the board right now, but on softbooks you can see Philly -2. I would probably advise waiting. I think Pinnacle will be close to a pick'em. So if you want to back the Philly Sixers, which I don't think is a bad idea, I think you should wait. The current line has probably value in Toronto, if anything, at +2 at home. I like what the Raptors have been doing recently. I mean, they started the season terribly, but they have been ramping it up. Offensive production has been great. Siakam is playing well. But overall, if I look into any stat, Philly's defense is matching up pretty well, and on the offensive end, as I said, I'm kind of liking how this sets up for the Sixers. So yeah, I'm leaning Philly. The only thing I don't like is that they give up the third most turnovers in the league, and the Raptors force the most. So they will probably lose some possessions here. But overall, I think this is still a decent matchup. But as I said, Raptors are trending in the right direction, and I'm rating these two teams pretty closely. So I wouldn't lay like Philly -2, 3, something like that. I'm looking for a cheap money line and that's it basically. Next game, Detroit Pistons at the Orlando Magic. Magic laying 2.5 points right now. Line is flipping from 2 to 2.5 on Pinnacle. Game opened up as Magic -1. It has been one-way action, only Magic money. I kind of understand. Pistons are just 2-13 on the road. They have 2 road wins. And basically, you have to pick the winner of the game here. I mean, laying 2 points is almost nothing. Dylan Wright is out for the Pistons, starting point guard. Griffin is sitting. Obviously, he won't play a game anymore with the Pistons. They are looking to trade him. Dennis Smith Jr. will likely draw his first start with the Pistons, and that's not good. The dude, I mean, he's terrible. So yeah, I have to downgrade the Pistons a bit. On the other end, Orlando will be still without Gordon and Cole Anthony. But as I said, I don't think Michael Carter Williams playing in the place of Cole Anthony is a huge downgrade. I think they look pretty decent. They are on a 4-game homestand right now. They won against the Kings, the Knicks, the Warriors in the last 4 games. So Orlando is kind of putting it together even with their injuries, and they aren't a good team, but the Pistons on the road is not something you should fear. So what we like usually about the Pistons and where I like to back the Pistons, they have a good offensive rebounding rate that's pretty consistently good. They have a good free throw rate, and defensively they force the 4th most turnovers in the league. That's the good. Everything else sucks about the Pistons. These 3 stats are the good stats, and if the matchup is right, I think backing them is fine. But here it's terrible. The Magic allowed the 2nd lowest offensive rebounding percentage in the whole league. They allowed the 7th lowest free throw rate, and offensively they commit the 9th least turnovers in the league. So anything else that Detroit does good won't match up well here, really, and I'm expecting the Magic to have some success here. Orlando is putting up the most mid-range jumpers in the league. I'm always mentioning this, and the Pistons allow the 3rd highest field goal percentage on mid-range jumpers. Another area where the Magic are pretty successful is the non-corner threes, and again, Pistons allow the 4th highest field goal percentage on them. making a case for Detroit. I mean, they faced the most difficult schedule in the league so far through the whole season, and Orlando faced the 30th. So it's a huge mismatch in opponent quality that these guys face. But I mean, this is a game 3 and 4 and 5 of a 5-game road trip for the Pistons. Magic on a long homestand. Oh, this is a double game, by the way. They play together the same teams. I think not tomorrow, but the day after tomorrow. Yeah, so I like how this sets up for the Magic, and basically you get a cheap money line against one of the worst road teams in the league without their starting point guard. And I don't think losing Blake Griffin is huge, but it's still something. They don't even have like bodies to put on the court, basically. So yeah, Orlando Magic cheap money line, I think, is a fair look. OKC Thunder at the Cleveland Cavaliers. OKC laying 2 points, 2.5 basically. Again, Cleveland are the worst team in the league right now by a country mile, and you only have to lay 2 points to fade them. I don't think that's a bad deal. Cleveland will be without Drummond. He will sit out. He will be traded. He's averaging 17 points, 13 rebounds. Allen will be the center for the squad going forward. He's great. I like the dude, but I mean, he's not Drummond. I think offensively, and especially when it comes to the rebounding, I expect a slight downgrade in, I mean, not like in long term, but just short term. I like OKC. I'm always betting them. The reason is super simple. If you look at points per possession, they are the worst team in the league, but they face the toughest schedule of opposing defenses. They aren't as bad as they seem. People are just fading them, but they are a top 10 defensive team easily, and they are really good at some things. And offensively, they aren't as bad as you might think. They went 1-6 in the last 2 weeks, but they played the Lakers twice, the Milwaukee Bucks twice, the Denver Nuggets, and the Toronto Raptors. I mean, and the Memphis Grizzlies were their easiest game. And I mean, they beat the Bucks once. They went to overtime twice with the Lakers. They only lost by 2 to the Nuggets, and they had tons of injuries through this stretch. I don't think this is a terrible team. They aren't good, but I mean, they aren't terrible. They have some good youngsters, amazing defense. On the other end, Cleveland is the 28th best offense, 30th best defense through the last 2 weeks. They have a minus 23 point differential on average, minus 14 on average against the spread. They have lost 9 straight. They didn't cover either of those games. Normally, they would have a slight rebounding edge, but I mean, with Drummond out, I don't think that will be the case. And overall, I think, as I said, OKC's defense is solid. They allow the 3rd least free throws in the league. Defensively, they are 15th in points per possessions, 9th in effective field goal percentage. The Cleveland offense is 30th in points per possessions and 29th in effective field goal percentage. Cleveland either gets to the rim or they shoot just short mid-range shots. As I said, with Drummond out, they won't get to the rim as much. But even if they do, like through the season, Cleveland has the worst field goal percentage out of all teams in the paint. So it's not an offense you should fear there. And OKC has a trash defense inside, but I don't think they will be able to exploit it. And everywhere else besides the paint, OKC has a top 10 defense. Or at some spots, if I look at the shot map, it's top 5. So yeah, I think the OKC defense will have a decent matchup here. The Thunder put up the 6th most 3-pointers in the league, and this is the worst 3-point defense in the whole league by Cleveland. They allow a 40% plus average, which is insanely bad again. So yeah, OKC is playing again tomorrow. They are hosting the Heat, but I don't think that will matter. They know that this is a winnable game. I think they will win it. I'm just fading the Cavs until I can, and they give me these cheap numbers. All right, next game, another one where I like a side. These last few days have been pretty busy, but thankfully we have been hitting the picks. So New York Knicks hosting the Minnesota Timberwolves. Knicks laying basically 3 at home, 2.5. Tibbs' revenge game, obviously, Minnesota fired him. They are hosting the Timberwolves right now. Knicks are on 3 days of rest. They had a game postponed due to some COVID stuff, but it wasn't with the Knicks. Mitchell Robinson is out for the Knicks. As I said, I think they can back him up pretty decently. I'm not downgrading them that much. On the Timberwolves side, D'Angelo Russell is out. He's averaging 19 points in a team that has trouble scoring. I think that's big. And Karl Anthony Towns is limited to 30 minutes. So he isn't like stretched out fully, but they said that they won't stretch him out further than this. Obviously, I'm not factoring this in, but Tibbs also knows Karl Anthony Towns. So, I mean, if anyone can play around him, I think it's him. Knicks have been great through the last 2 weeks. They grade as the second best defense in the league. They only allow 107 points per 100 shot attempts. That's amazing. Offensively, I'm always bashing them, bottom five offense, etc., etc. But they have been getting better. Through the last 2 weeks, they put up 3 more scores per 100 shot attempts, pretty decent. Overall, I think this is a decent spot for the Knicks, and the matchup is pretty great. Minnesota gets to the rim at the fifth highest rate in the league. New York Knicks allow the fourth highest field goal percentage there. Besides this, Minnesota is the top 10 team when it comes to three-point rate. Knicks allow the lowest field goal percentage from downtown in the whole league. Knicks offensively, they either get to the rim or shoot mid-range jumpers. Minnesota well outside of the top 10 defensively against either. If you look at the big picture, I mean, the Knicks are 8th in the East. They are fighting for the first playoff appearance in 8 years. They are playing hard. Wolves, on the other end, have the worst record in the West. They are tanking. They don't have Russell. Karl Anthony Towns is super limited. I think Knicks at home on extra rest, super cheap. That's the play. Atlanta Hawks hosting the Denver Nuggets. Nuggets laying 2.5, basically 3 on the road. I really wanted to like the Nuggets here, but I make the game minus Denver -3, so I'm exactly on market here. And it's just so difficult to pull the trigger. Nuggets still without Harris, Millsap, Green, Dozier. I mean, we will probably see some small ball lineups. And the matchup for the Hawks is pretty decent. Hawks are without Hunter. I'm always mentioning this. Hunter has been the second or third most efficient offensive piece on the team. He's averaging like 127 points per 100 possessions. Cam Reddish is backing him up. He's a shit offensively, one of the well below league average offensive when it comes to offensive efficiency. So yeah, team is missing Hunter a lot. Nuggets have been pretty decent through the last 2 weeks, despite the injuries. They had Murray out for multiple games, and the other half of the team is still out, but they still went 4-3 through the last 2 weeks, and they have a +7 point differential. I mean, I don't know how they do it. It's a decent team. Top 10, borderline top 5. I have them ranked outside of my top 5, but they are, I mean, when fully healthy, it's a decent team. The Hawks grade as the third worst defense in the league through the last 2 weeks. It's not a team you really can back at this state. But I kind of always feel like it's a buy low with them, and I always get burned. The matchup is amazing for the Hawks. Let me just say that. So Denver is 4th in offensive, 14th in defensive rebounding. The Hawks aren't much more. I mean, they aren't far behind them. It will be a close rebounding battle. Denver won't be able to dominate the boards like they usually do. Case for the Atlanta Hawks. They draw the highest free throw rate in the whole league. Nuggets give up the 10th most. So we will probably see the Hawks score like 8, 9, 10 points more from the charity stripe. I mean, that's huge. Next thing, I'm always saying the Nuggets have the worst defense in the paint in the whole league. They allow the highest field goal percentage there. That's not really good against the Hawks, who attack the paint a lot. They are pretty efficient there. So yeah, I don't want to lay 3 points on the road with an injured team that will be probably matched in the rebounding area, who will give up more free throws than their opponents, and who are the worst defense in the paint, facing a pretty decent offense there. So yeah, to me it's really just Hawks or buzz, but I don't trust the Hawks either, and I think the line is right. So yeah, that's it. Brooklyn Nets at the LA Clippers. I really waited for this game. I hope to have a play here, but I don't. I make the line 5.5, and the line is 5.5. Obviously, Brooklyn without KD, he's huge. And the Clippers are now finally fully healthy. They just beat the Utah Jazz, whom I rate as the best team in the league right now. Obviously, they aren't the best team like overall when we look at like playoffs, etc. But right now they are performing as the best team against the spread. They are just stepping up even against shitty competition, while the other teams are taking it lightly. So yeah, Clippers beat the Jazz the last time out. They are fully healthy. Nets without KD. Nets won five straight. Yeah, five straight. They have a plus 14 point differential, plus 7 against the closing spread. The big thing to me is the defense. I have been bashing them. They have since the big three got put together. They had the bottom 5 defense in the league, and it was. I mean, you couldn't challenge that stat any way you wanted. Now through the last 2 weeks, they grade as the 16th best defense, and others said this, and I completely agree. They don't need to do more than this. If they just play average or even slightly below average defense, they will be a true contender and probably win the East. And currently they do that. So yeah, Nets are also next to rest. By the way, these are the two best offenses in the league in points per possessions and effective field goal percentage. Brooklyn is the first, Clippers are the second. So yeah, Clippers will have a slight rebounding edge. Brooklyn has a better free throw rate. I mean, I cannot black Brooklyn without KD here, and I don't think now is the time to step in front of the Clippers train. They missed Paul George. Beverly was out for a few games. They had to sit out Kawhi, etc. Now everyone is back. I think they will go kind of on a small run here. So if I just had to pick the winner of the game, I would pick the Clippers. But I mean, you get like a plus 190 on the Nets money line, and I think they are one of the better teams in the league, even without KD right now, the way they are playing right now. So yeah, if I would have to make a play, I would probably make a small play on the Nets money line here. But I think the line is right, and I cannot fade the Clippers right now when they are fully healthy and at home, and no back-to-backs in sight, etc. If KD was back, I would probably bet Brooklyn money line, even at obviously at a worse line. I think these two teams are pretty close when at full health. Sacramento Kings at the Milwaukee Bucks. Might be a buy low spot on the Bucks. Game is off the board. Softbooks have 10.5 on the Bucks. I think we might get even a better line. Milwaukee just grades as the 15th best offense and the 22nd best defense through the last 2 weeks. They have a minus 3 point differential, minus 8.5 against the closing spread. They lost 5 games and won just 2 in the last 2 weeks. They just snapped the 5-game losing streak the last time out against OKC. They beat them by 13. I think they will get back to the winning ways. This is a pretty decent matchup also. Milwaukee offensively 4th in points per possessions, 3rd in effective field goal percentage, 10th in offensive rebounding. Kings rank 30th, 28th, and 27th in these. Also, Bucks put up the 3rd highest field goal percentage in the whole league around the rim. Kings allowed the 5th highest. Bucks put up the 4th highest field goal percentage from 3. Kings allow the 3rd highest field goal percentage there. So anything the Bucks do normally, they will be able to do here. Kings rank as the worst defense in the league if you look at the whole season. They had some stretches when they were playing better defense, but they are back to being like bottom 5-ish. Obviously, they have some missing pieces, had some missing pieces. Barnes and Holmes didn't play last night. I noted that. I expected that. We have been fading the team they lost. I don't know if they will play or not. But I think if they are out, that's a huge hit. They are the 2 most efficient offensive guys. If you look at points per shot attempts, they are the top 2 of the top 3. Halliburton is the 3rd guy. Kings played like 35 minutes on key guys last night. So back to back, we traveled to Milwaukee. I won't be able to back the road team here. It's Milwaukee or bust for me. I'm close to 10.5. That's what we see on Saltbooks. If we get somehow like a small discount, like 9.5 or maybe even a 10, I would sprinkle the Bucks. We know that Holiday is out, but we don't know if Barnes and Holmes will play. So I would probably wait for the first injury report. We will see if the Kings tag them as questionable. Even if they are questionable, I think laying a 10 is okay here. It's such a good matchup, and this is probably a super buy low on the Bucks after they have been struggling, and they have been struggling without Holiday, obviously, but I don't think this is a matchup where him out will matter. This is like a 40-point Giannis game, in my opinion. All right, this is it for today. Summing it up, I show a number edge on the New Orleans Pelicans, but I won't play it. I like the Boston Celtics. I like Philly a bit, not at -2, but I think you will be able to grab a better line when Pinnacle and Bookmaker opens up. Orlando Magic laying just 2.5 against the worst road team in the league. Pistons just only have 2 road wins. They are down 2 starters right now. Magic figuring it out even when they are shorthanded. I kind of like them. OKC Thunder, they are a better team than you might think, and the Cleveland Cavaliers are the worst team in the league right now. No Drummond for them. Huge for this matchup. I think OKC's defense will hold up. They will win probably a lower scoring game. I don't fault anyone if you go money line. New York Knicks hosting the Minnesota Timberwolves. Knicks on 3 days of rest, fully healthy. Besides Robinson, Timberwolves without Russell, Karl Anthony Towns on minute limits sets up well for the Knicks. On court matchup is pretty decent. And yeah, Bucks, if we get something under 10, I think that's the right side. So yeah, if you want to grab my plays, you can go to patreon.com/thebarrelzone and join the Discord channel. I will tweet out the stream schedule for next week. I won't be streaming tomorrow. We have only 6 games. There are 2 days with 6 games this week. That's the least on any day. On Monday and Thursday, those will be my off days. I will tweet it out tomorrow. So yeah, I will be back for Tuesday. We have a huge slate on Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in. Good luck for today and enjoy your Sunday. Peace out.